no one actually. I mean, if you look at the real numbers, every like 70% of Americans are under. Like, but then if you look at social media, like almost 90 something percent of it is like, oh yeah, look at me, we're rich, we're doing this, blah blah blah. That I'm like, this is the sign of a dwindling a nation because any nation who's doing well for themselves isn't gonna put stuff like this on full blast. Like, look how rich I am. Look at this kid. Look how rich they are. Like, so you want to make money, this, that. Like, that's the sign of a crashing. That's like a country that thinks it's about to die and it wants to convince its people to get back on the game, kind of thing, right? And the other countries are doing well. I mean, all their social media, their like news commercials, infomercials have nothing to do with making money. They have more to do with like, oh yeah, family ties, like oh maybe medical stuff. I haven't seen a single medical commercial in like years. Everything's been about how to make money, how to save money, and car loans.
Because
Like
everyone
I
wants
just
to get in on, as we keep on mentioning, becoming one of the elites by being told the right way to
right.
become one of the elites, according to the elites who are already one of the elites within the current system, that they benefit and stand on their incentives to pump the success of and the continued notion of us all focusing on it. When if we just drop back and look at what is of actual value, we have to wonder what that is. What is of actual value? And we think monetary value is the main, because it's market based, it's measured, it's the actual notion of value because we think of it in terms of numbers. But we all know also that it's qualitative and sentimentality and well being that can't really be measured because you'd have to be measuring someone's consciousness, like within and subconscious tendencies, and not just what they're saying or what can be recorded externally. And so, what is of value is a tough question that leads off into kind of the spiritual at some point, and yes, is just like the social level is the way that it would be presented in polite society. Of do you have the social circles you want? And I think just getting on that level, it already kind of trails off into the controversial because I think a lot of people would have fewer like people they can confide in than they would want in general in the modern society, and particularly millennials who, once they get out of college, and are all on this work track of making ends meet, and like you're saying, 70% living paycheck to paycheck, leaves them with very little chance for fulfillment in the way they really want it. And it's hard to come up with a way to get enough people to admit that, but I guess I'm willing to admit that. And I think a lot of people are clearly going through the same thing, but to admit it on some level kind of feels better because then you are assessing a situation and seeing how it can be improved. But it seems like what a lot of us also want to do is just go into those awkward moments where we don't want to talk to anyone, so we just go on our phones, and it's like, okay, everyone else is going on their phones as well, so I guess that's good enough for them, and we don't have to break the ice on this situation. You know what I mean?
right,
We can just not
right.
communicate, but act like we're having fun because we're looking at playing games on our phones and looking at TikTok or scrolling through YouTube shorts and entertaining ourselves and laughing or something. So at least everything seems good enough on its own local level. If you chalk it up to individuals entertaining themselves on their phones, not quite fully socially, but only through social media, and it's like, well, where's the transparency on how everyone's actually feeling? And it feels like it's thinly veiled, but there's this large incentive to keep it all on hold as far as letting it all out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, totally. And I guess it's so meta. And I guess what I was kind of wanted to say was like the money is total currency times unit value. Okay, and like
Mm-hmm.
dollar value, whatever it is, right? So that's where there's difference between currency value and money, and even money itself is meta because it is kind of like kind of a ledger thing for, hey, I owe you this deed because you did me that deed, and that's the money aspect. Oh, they come up with money, this idea of money, this IOU thing, that's money, right?
Which is
And
a
but then they
social
say, oh,
contract on
right,
paper.
right. But what I'm saying is, it is already not the end goal right there, right? The end goal is still getting the deeds done for you or doing deeds for you or just bettering your own quality of life, right? But people not only think money is the goal, they completely misconstrue what the definition of money is. They think currency is the goal, right? They want to see this number, this USD value go up in their bank account.
For
Now we're
them, but not
completely
for others because we want to see
right,
prices
right.
drop, but we want our own
But
sales to go up.
but that's meta within meta. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
that's like money's already meta, and then currency is even more meta than money because you have to divide currency into these random value that who's valuing this? Like we're not
Right.
valuing it. We're not valuing currency. So our like transactions and stuff are completely based on it's centralized, right? I mean that's what it is. But like we're not dictating what our worth really is based off of organic transactions, which is in the end of the day like what really matters in the society is these organic transactions, not all this meta crap that's like basically red taping everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at some point we have to realize that as people, where it's like, okay, not only should we stop looking at currency, we have to stop looking at money. We have to look at just pure value of like the stuff that we want and the stuff that we're able to offer, right? A value on the level that's like not money, but like social value, right? Maybe not in terms of social contracts, because you could get misconstrued into social contracting, right? It's like, no, it's not that, right? It's like for one good deed, you agree with the opposite party that, you make an agreement that your good deed is worth that other good deed from that party